a small business consultant, a mastermind expert who has a passion for business. That is my next guest on today's series for entrepreneurs who work from home. Welcome. I'm Gale Bates. I'm all about making productivity and accountability fun and simple for work from home entrepreneurs. You know, I think that discipline and accountability are important, but I really believe in creating a workday that you actually look forward to with practical strategies that keep you motivated and on track. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to get notified about upcoming videos. You know, I'm really excited to interview Karyn Greenstreet today. I met her in one of her mastermind classes. And in today's interview, you're going to hear from Karyn about her process for setting goals for entrepreneurs that you can actually implement immediately. She will introduce you to a powerful tool to help you manage your time effectively, along with a specific exercise to help you prioritize like a pro. So I want you to get ready to learn from somebody who really knows her stuff. You won't want to miss the tips that you'll learn to take action on right away in this interview. Welcome, Karyn. It's so exciting to have you here today on this series. Wonderful to learn more about how you, as an entrepreneur working from home, have had so much experience. So I'm excited to welcome you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Great. So we're going to get stuck into the questions here because, you know, entrepreneurs who work from home always need advice. And I'd love to start off with a little bit about your workday. How do you have any kind of routines? Give us a little bit of a structure of how you work.
Yeah, so I do. And part of the reason is that I find that if I don't have like a little morning checklist of what I need to do, it's so easy to like follow every shiny object and then things don't get done.
Right.
So I have my little morning checklist and all the efficiency experts tell you don't read email first thing, but I have to read email first thing because that's how my clients talk with me. So it's, you know, I'm not reading it just for fun. I'm reading it because it's business. Right. So the very first thing I do is I read email. I send any emails, like, so say I have a client call like that afternoon, I'm sending out a Zoom link to remind them what that is. If I have any students that need, you know, like an announcement about homework or something, I send that out. So I do all my email first. Then I go on social media, but I don't go on social media to look at social media because it will just suck up my time, right? I go out there to post what I need to post and get out. I can come back like at lunchtime and read through and have conversations, but the morning has to be really into efficiency. I also check our financial numbers really quick each morning, make sure all the systems are up. My husband's my business partner, which is great, and he handles all technology. I always laugh. I say we've been working together for 17 years and we haven't killed each other yet. So yay, you know. So we're checking just to make sure all the systems are working fine. And then I know it's simple, but I grab a piece of paper, I draw a line down the middle, and on the left-hand side, I put, say today, like Friday, you know, and then on the other side, I put the next day, the next business day. And so that way I can focus on what do I have to do today and what do I have to do next to try to keep my priorities in order because it's so easy to get distracted. So that's my morning ritual is like get communication done and then figure out what you need to do today. What's the most important things that like have to get done or are part of the bigger picture strategy. So that's my morning routine.
I love it. And I love your little exercise, which is very, very simple. Sometimes we get too complicated with too many things rather than a simple line down the middle. What's prioritized today and what's...
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I love the simplicity of that. And so do you have any habits that you work on or routines that you do every day or every week? How does that work for you?
Well, the one thing I do is every Monday morning is I make sure that I carve out some time. Usually it's during that time I would normally do my little chart of today and tomorrow to figure out what are my most important tasks. So I use Evernote a lot because it's on my desktop, it's on my phone. It's just convenient that everything syncs with everything else. And so I can create little bullet points, a little bullet point list. So I have a this week action plan on Evernote, and then I have a, to do in the future.
Yeah.
No, and I can pull things over from one to the other. Like, what do I need to focus on this week? And often, even that, what I need to focus this week will be day by day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because it might be, as an example, if I'm teaching a class and I have to remember to send them homework on Wednesday morning, I put it in the Wednesday morning slot just to remind me.
Right.
Same thing with reminders. If I have to remember to post something on social media or, whatever it is, it's every week the same thing. It stays in that. And then that way it allows me to organize my thoughts, and it carves out that little bit of time to be strategic, to be like, okay, what do I need to do this week?
Right.
What is sort of crucial and urgent that has to get done? And what is sort of strategic? I want to get it done because it's going to lead to a better future. It's not that I have to, absolutely have to get it done this week, but it's important to do it. And so I try to use, was it Stephen Covey or
It's used Stephen Covey.
I think it's Stephen Covey, sort of like the urgent and important concept, that grid,
Right. I think that's the Eisenhower matrix. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And then that's how I divide the future to-do list: urgent and important, important but not urgent, those four categories,
Yeah.
so that when I have an idea, I have a place to put it.
Yeah.
And that way, that's ideas out of my head and onto paper, which is really good, because I find that for me and also for all my clients, when you're a small business owner, you have so much in your head. It's exhausting. And to get it out and onto paper, I think, is really important.
Yeah, it is. It is so important. And I love that the way you explain that, because, urgent and important. And basically, you've got a master list that you're working from for everything else, which is really, really important. And I think that's great advice for other entrepreneurs who are struggling with keeping on track with all of that. I love it. Okay, so you look like you have a beautiful office.
I do. I have my own room, so I'm lucky that way.
Yes. So how have you set up your office for productivity? How does that work for you?
Well, I have been self-employed since 2001, so it's been a long time, and I've kind of perfected my systems. But basically, we moved into this house in 2015, and we specifically looked for a house where the main bedroom was on the main floor, and there were two bedrooms upstairs. So out of the way. And my husband took one as his office. I took one as my office. So we have our space kind of segregated between the two of us, and also away from our living space, which kind of has like a good mental thing for me, Then what I did is I have 3 desks you can't say it's in a U shape. Sort of the command center is right in front of me, but I needed the space because I'm a visual person. I need to lay things out and see them. Yeah. Sometimes, as an example, when I'm creating like my class calendar for the next quarter, I literally lay out, every month in front of me, crawl across this big desk so that I can actually see month by month when our class is going to start and end, and that kind of a thing. So I've set that up in such a way that at the end of each day, I know it sounds crazy, I like to close the desk down, which is anything that I've done handwriting on my desk has to get put in Evernote. It's kind of the rule. I can't leave my desk. And the reason is this: my handwriting is awful. It really is. I can't even. So the next day when I come in, I won't remember what the heck I was writing. So unless I can do it that afternoon before I leave the office, and that way when you come in the morning, you have a fresh desk.
Great tip. That's a great tip.
Yeah. I just found that I was like, well, what the heck was I saying? I can't read my own handwriting. Okay, we've got to solve that problem. Because I work on Zoom so much, when I'm working one-on-one with clients or teaching classes or running mastermind groups, I've got my big, huge honking microphone right here.
Right.
And I have everything I need to do that. And then when I am on Zoom with somebody, I clear the desk in front of me. So all it is a blank desk and their information. Yeah. And then that way it helps me to visually stay focused, because the distraction part is challenging when you're a small business owner. There's so many projects you're working on. If you have them kind of laid out all over your desk,
Yes.
your eye catches it.
Yes.
And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, for that split second, you're thinking about it, and then you're not thinking about the other important stuff.
Yeah. I do the same thing. And I think clearing your desk clears your mind, right? So then you're focused on exactly who you're supposed to be sharing information with and talking with. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's on that. Yeah. You said you use Evernote. Do you use any other tech tools in your business?
Well, I use a million tech tools. It just depends.
What's your
So,
favorite?
obviously I use Zoom for meetings and stuff.
Right.
We have a membership platform. We have a shopping cart platform. We have an email marketing platform.
Right.
I talk to my VA through WhatsApp. We're using technology to be as efficient as possible. Because when you work from home, I don't care if you're working from home when you're a solo entrepreneur or whether you're working from home and you have a team of 10 or 20, you need to be as efficient as possible. So we've tried to use these tech tools in a way that reduces the amount of work we have to do.
Yes.
There's always that learning curve, and so it feels like it's a hassle to use a tool, but if that tool is eventually going to make it easier for you, then it's worth investing the learning curve to do it.
What's your favorite tool?
Evernote. I use Evernote every day, all day. I just find that to have a central place, and it's great because what happens is I do a lot of brain dumping and putting a lot of stuff in there, ideas for the future and things I've heard and books I want to read and YouTube videos, and then I can't remember where I find it if it's just on my desk. But in Evernote, there's a search bar, and I can search for it, and I can tag things based on, is this a marketing idea? Is this a social media idea? What is this? And I can be like, okay, show me everything. The nice thing is I teach a lot of classes to small business owners, and I have ideas for like the next version or the advanced version of that class or how to make that class better. And so when I'm getting ready to teach that class again, I can go to Evernote and just type in the name of the class, and everything comes up. Everything I've ever thought about that class comes up no matter where I put it in Evernote. So Evernote is by far the coolest tool that I have for everything that I do.
Oh,
and you can use OneNote or, there's lots of these tools out there.
Right. Yeah. But for you, that is the one that works. And I love what I love you explained how you work it. And I think that's really important. There's a lot of different tools out there, but when one actually works for you and you can make it work for you, I think it makes, as you said, you feel efficient. And I love the fact that you can type in a word and what will come up is what you've been working on. That's great.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And I think when I first started Evernote, I kind of just dumped everything in there all in like one big bucket. And then I started to be like, oh, well, all this stuff, that's this class. And all this stuff, this is about a marketing techniques. And this is all about, my client notes or my prospect notes. And so I began to tease it apart. They have this thing called notebooks, which you have notes within notebooks. I started to create notebooks that made sense to me. And that did help clarify my thinking because now my thoughts were ordered.
And do you keep notes about your clients in Evernote, or do you?
Yeah. Everything goes in Evernote.
Everything goes.
Yeah. When I was talking to a client this morning, and as she's talking, I'm typing. I said to her, hold on, let me type that in. Because then when I talk with her next week, I'll bring up that note like 10 or 15 minutes before we talk, and I'll read through what did we talk about last week? What were we supposed to talk about this week? And then I'm fresh because, when you work with a lot of people, it starts to get a little blurry. It's like, what did we talk about last week? Or worse, if it was 2 weeks ago, forget it. I don't remember. But having it all in Evernote, I've got it.
Yeah. That's brilliant. And I think for other entrepreneurs who are looking for something simple, but very, very efficient, that you've explained that so well for them, that they'll love learning how to use it. Great. And any other time management, like specific strategies, like time blocking or batching?
So I am deeply in love with my calendar. My online calendar, I use Outlook, but you could use anything, right?
Yeah.
And the idea is that I set aside time that's sort of sacred. So my morning routine is like the first hour of the morning. I don't take any clients, no calls, nothing. That this is my time to get myself prepped for the day and to get all these sort of administrative tasks done. I typically will do client appointments like at blocked out for 10 and 11 in the morning and then 1 and 2 in the afternoon. I always teach classes at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm on East Coast time. That way it's good for both California people and also like England and Germany and stuff. It works both ways. I try to be done by 3.
Yeah.
So, for me, if I block these things out, 12 to 1 is always lunch, always has been lunch for 25 years. Did I have this full hour? I go downstairs, I eat, I stop working, and I just relax. Because then I come back at 1 o'clock, I'm completely fresh.
Right.
And that's the problem when you work from home. You're like, oh, I'm just going to run downstairs, grab lunch quick, and come back up. It's like you don't give your brain any chance to just let go.
That's a very important part of being an entrepreneur. I learned long ago to take, once in a while, I would have lunch sitting at the computer or still in my office. No. You got to take those.
Yeah, no. And I think you need to be really strict about it. I don't work evenings and I don't work weekends. And people have said to me, oh, well, why don't you teach your class at 7 o'clock at night? It's like, because that's my time. Yeah. You have to be really good about your own boundaries and when you want to work.
Yes.
And if it doesn't work for some of your clients, it doesn't work for them. But you're like, can't do that,
Yeah.
And you got to take care of yourself. You really do.
Yes. And so what about distractions for you and interruptions? How do you handle those?
Well, because my husband's my business partner, he literally works just down the hall. I do find that what I do is we both have tried to be really good about being respectful of each other's time. And basically, he'll knock on my door and say, do you have a minute? And if I don't, I say, not right now. And he doesn't get offended by that, or I kind of put my finger up like, hold on just a minute. Let me finish typing in what I'm typing in. Right. And I do find that works really well to have that. I when I'm done in the morning with my email, I close Outlook down. I'll close down the social media as well. I don't want those distractions, especially if I'm like designing a class or getting ready to run a mastermind group meeting. I need everything shut down so I can focus. Yeah. So part of it, because I'm a visual person, that's why I talked about this whole thing about clearing my desk, because the distractions for me are seeing these other bits of paper and be like, oh, yes, I must remember that. If I have everything shut down and I have all these papers off to the side, at least out of my field of vision, they can be on the side, but they, I don't know if that's cheating or what,
You've created the total focus for you so that they don't, you work that out, right?
Yeah.
People can't do that. It's just too many interruptions and you find you can't get anything done.
Well, I think the thing is who is interrupting you? Yes. And quite frankly, why are you allowing it? If you have little kids in the house and they need you, right? But if they're teenagers, if they're adults, they need to be told, this is my work time. I am working. If I was in an office, you wouldn't be able to come in. This is my time. And it's about respect. People treating you with respect. If it's your, like your VA on chat and she keeps popping up and asking you questions and stuff, turn your chat off. Just say, I have to run this mastermind group meeting. I can't talk to anybody right now. So I'm just going to shut down WhatsApp or I'm going to shut down Facebook or whatever, wherever you're chatting. I'll look at it later. There's nothing that's going to happen in the 90 minutes I'm running a mastermind group meeting that can't wait for 90 minutes. Unless my house is on fire, it's going to have to wait. And I remind people, just because you're working from home, you're still a professional. If you had to drive to work and be in an office, none of these things would happen. Why are you letting it happen when you're at home?
Yeah.
That's true. I don't, people say, oh, I love it because I can throw in a load of laundry during the middle of the day. I'm like, no, I'm working.
Yeah.
I'll do laundry tonight. I'll do laundry in the weekend. I'm not doing it during the middle of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's having those boundaries and letting others know about them, I think, is really important advice for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
In getting things done. And
well, the beauty is that if I want to do something in the middle of the day that's personal, like a dentist appointment, I can. So it's not like I don't, but I choose. And I think that's the key.
That is the key. You're absolutely right. Yes. So you are a busy woman. You facilitate a lot of masterminds. You show people how to set up masterminds and you have coaching clients. How do you stay connected? Because for you, you're busy. It seems to me you're busy but there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there who feel isolated. They feel like they need to
Yeah.
how does that work for you? How do you stay connected with people?
Well, when I first got started, I had a lot of colleagues. So I first started as a business coach. So I had all the people I went to coaching school with. So I knew them. And then I had a network of small business owners who were local to me where I used to live. And I think they had monthly meetings, or maybe it was every 2 weeks. And then I'd have lunch with people and stuff like that. So I would go out of my way to stay connected with them physically. We moved kind of up to the country, up into the mountains, which is lovely, but now I'm remote from all those people. So a lot of times it's staying connected either just through emails and phone calls and the occasional lunch kind of a thing, or the reason I love mastermind groups is I was in one for many years and loved that meeting once a month or meeting twice a month and always being with the same people and kind of having that feeling like I'm not alone in this. There's other people and they're doing what I'm doing. So
Right.
I can ask them, well, how did you do this? And I can get information. That created like a community or a tribe for me. And so
Right.
that's what I'm helping to teach people to do because I found it so incredibly valuable. But you have to make the effort to reach out to people. So even if it's somebody where you used to live or somebody that you went through a class with or whatever, just when you're thinking about someone, drop them an email and just say, hey, we were in this class together last month. I've been thinking about you, wondered how you were doing, really quick stuff like that. There's always, worst case scenario is there is the Zoom coffee chat, right?
Yeah. Well, if you can't get out and meet people, that is the best case scenario, But I think
Yeah.
your advice on making the effort is
Mhm.
really important because I think you can't feel like you're alone in this.
Right.
You have to feel like you have people that you can call on, that even if it's just to have a cup of coffee and have a quick chat, that's all it needs to be, right?
Yeah. And I think the other thing is don't feel badly about reaching out to someone when you need a little bit of help or something and be like, hey,
Yes.
I thought
Yeah.
about you. I've got this situation. Do you have 10 minutes
Yes.
that I
Yeah.
can kind of pick your brains? Obviously, if you're going to pick someone's brains for an hour or 2 hours, then
Yeah.
you should pay them. But, when you have colleagues and friends who are also small business owners, even if they don't live nearby, you pick up the phone,
Yeah.
schedule a
Yeah.
Zoom date just to connect.
Yeah, it's important. It's an important part of being an entrepreneur. I feel like you really have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, great.
Especially when you work from home, it can be very lonely. And if your family or your local friends are not small business owners, they might support you, but they don't understand you. And it can feel lonely. You're like, I want to talk to someone. I'm lucky my sister's also an entrepreneur. She also works from home. So
Yeah,
I've got a built-in support
there
system with
you
my
go.
sister. But
Yeah,
my mom supports me. She's encouraging to me, but I can't talk to her about my marketing problem. She's like, whatever.
no, and having a little support group is good.
Yeah.
But also, I know masterminds, and you are the queen of masterminds, and you teach people how to set up masterminds. They are, a truly great way to stay connected with people, especially
Yeah.
as entrepreneurs working from home.
It's just nice to have a group of people that are encouraging, they're supporting of you, and they don't have any emotional agenda like your family. They just want what you want,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you? I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're somebody who regularly sets goals. Do you have like a goal setting process that you use in your business?
Yeah, I do. I find that for me, I need to do it at least quarterly. I try to do it once a year for the first few years of my business, and things change too much.
Mhm. Yeah.
I can't predict what's going to happen. And if I'm like, well, a year from now, I'm going to be here. It's like, yes, but if something changes next month, you need to be able to move the ship as quickly as possible.
Right.
And
Right.
so typically at the beginning of every quarter,
Yeah.
I sit down, I think about what it is that I want to have achieved by the end of that quarter. And I divide it into two things. I divide it into goals, which is the outcome that I want,
Mhm.
and then the tasks and the projects I'm going to do to get there. Because
Right.
I can't set quarterly goals and say, well, my quarterly goal is to update my website. No, that's a task. That's a project. That's not a goal. Why do you want to update the website? So I try to think on both levels
Yeah.
to make sure I'm doing the right tasks.
Right. And I
You
think
know?
that's the questions. Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do we
And
do?
keep asking yourself, why am I doing this? Two levels, right? Why am I doing this? Where is this going to get me? And why am I doing this? Shouldn't this be something that, my VA can do or my tech guy can do?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's a great I think in today's world where things are changing so fast that
Yeah.
90-day goals are more achievable than trying to fit, making sure you're on track for something that's 12 months out.
Yeah.
And I find I'm talking to a lot of entrepreneurs who are doing exactly that. That's what they're
Mhm.
about, is just working on these 90-day goals, which I think is great. And of course, I'm big on 90-day goals myself.
Yeah. I feel they feel doable, And I
Yeah.
think I try to include in those goals and tasks the same concept of, well, what has to get done? And
Mhm.
if I could accomplish one or two big things that will strategically move me forward, that could be done anytime, but if I do them this quarter, it's good. I think that helps. So these little mini planning sessions I think are really important. And I've taught this system to my clients and my mastermind group members so that they can try to be really good at goal setting and action planning and to align their goals with their values, because the cool thing about being self-employed is the self in self-employment. You get to create the life you want. You get to design the business you want. Why are you self-employed? What do you want to get out of that as a human being? What
Yeah.
are your values? What are you trying to project into the world? And then when you set your goals, all of a sudden they shine.
Right.
Because sometimes being self-employed can be really hard and you need to keep that motivation. You need to understand why you're doing things.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Great advice. And I think for entrepreneurs who are listening to this today, this is so important, is knowing exactly what is going to motivate you to get to the end result that you're looking for in the next 90 days, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because your mindset is everything when you're self-employed, especially if you're self-employed and you're doing it on your own. There's no one who's going to be a rah-rah coach for you. You have to do it yourself. And so, if you find you're distracted by shiny objects, if you find that you're overwhelmed, if you find that you change your goals a lot, you're self-sabotaging, and you need to go way back to why am I doing this work? I
Yes.
could get a job, why am I self-employed, number one, and what am I trying to create in the world?
Do you find that there, with a lot of your clients, that they are attracted to shiny object syndrome? Do you find that's a
Yeah.
trait in?
Yeah, it's a
Now,
procrastination method of being, ooh, look at this cool thing. I don't have to deal with all this stuff over here that's difficult. I have
yeah,
this thing that excites me.
yeah,
Sometimes the thing that excites you is actually strategically something great, but
right.
you always have to ask yourself, is this the right thing to pay attention to strategically? And
Yeah.
is now the right time to pay attention to it? I had a person who was really struggling with their marketing,
Mhm.
trying to come up with a plan that was going to work with them within their time budget and their money budget. And all of a sudden, she kept saying, like, oh, I saw this really great thing over here, and maybe I'll go over here. I was like, pause for a minute. Is that really what you want to do, or are you just trying to avoid this? She's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just trying to avoid this. So
I
we
think,
know it, the whole mindset thing is a big deal, right?
I've learned that myself. I love what you said. Pause for a minute. That's what it's all about as entrepreneurs, because we can get distracted by these there's just so many wonderful things out there that look
Yeah.
like such great ideas. But
Yeah.
it's always, that's what I've learned to share with myself, is to pause for a minute, ask yourself the questions. Is this really something you need right now? Have you achieved what you've been working on, right? And I
Yeah.
love that's such great advice for entrepreneurs,
And it
especially.
could be a big picture shiny object thing, or it could be a small thing like, oh, I should watch this 2-hour YouTube video. It's like, okay, do you have 2 hours? That's why I have an Evernote called Cool Ideas for the Future. That way I capture it,
Yeah.
right? And then I know where it is. If I have the time and the energy and I think it's important, I know where to find it.
Oh,
People suggest books to me. They suggest workshops I should take. They suggest people I should follow. I'm like, cool ideas for the future.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I always ask this question, because we're always trying to strike the right balance between work and personal life. For entrepreneurs, that's a big deal, right? And we call it maintaining work-life balance. How does that work for you?
Well, I think the whole thing about my schedule and the boundaries that I set is important. For me, I used to work weekends. I used to work evenings. I used to work my tail off. And I did it at that time in the beginning consciously. Mm-hmm. I wanted to launch this business and I was willing to let some of my personal life kind of slide back in order to have what I wanted. And sometimes we do juggle our values like that. But then I was like, okay, at some point, my personal life was equally as important. I needed to focus over there. And so I try to be really clear about my time boundaries, because then that creates space for both. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I take that hour for lunch every day. Usually, I eat lunch relatively quickly and then read a book for 45 minutes, and a book not about business, like some, fiction book or something that takes my mind off of things. The other thing is I find that if I can, after work, often we'll go out and walk by the canal or in the woods or something like that, just to kind of decompress. So I have that little bit of a shift time between work and personal life. Back in the old days when I had a corporate job, I had to drive from corporate to home, and that was my decompression time. Well, I don't have that anymore, so I had to kind of recreate that. I need to do walking anyway, so it's good for me. I get out into the sunshine because, even though I'm in my house, I'm still not outside in the sunshine. So I get some daylight, which is always nice to have. And it's a very nice transition between work and, and getting dinner put together. Some people like to have a glass of wine instead. That's fine, whatever works for you. But I think that that little bit of transition helps.
Is that your favorite self-care? Do you think that's your favorite self-care, is taking that walk?
Yeah. I mean, we do it on weekends. We do it afternoons. We find that the energy of nature centers us, calms us, clarifies us, refreshes us. So for us, just getting out and moving our bodies and emptying our minds is a big deal. Some people do meditation. It's kind of the same concept of what will clear you up. Yeah. What will refresh you, what will calm you and center you.
Yeah. No, I think that's, it's so important to have those. And I schedule mine, they're on my schedule. I actually walk early in the morning, and then in the afternoon I spend an hour in the garden, and then that's with nature myself.
Right,
so it's important as part of your life.
Yeah, I mean, any number of times. I have it's called a trug. It's basically a stand-up garden. It's at waist level. It's in it's got legs, and I'll go out there and I'll work in the trug, or I'll work in the garden or something at the end of the day, or even at lunchtime.
Right.
Just something about getting my hands in dirt. I don't know what it is. And playing with the flowers, it's nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And my mind is always going on what to plant next, or what I should have done with, instead of letting it die. Whatever happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And some people, they go and they play tennis, or they sew quilts, or they, go to the movies. I mean, everybody has their thing, but just understand what things are going to get you into that mindset, that state that you want to be in. Yes. Even like when I come in the morning, I stop, I pause, I close my eyes, I take a couple deep breaths. I why am I here? What's today? What does today mean to me? Or what do I want it to mean to me? I light a candle, that your morning routine, your after work routine, I think all of those things matter. They do. And that's a great way of taking care of yourself.
Yes. Great advice. Okay, I'm going to switch this up. I want to learn a little bit about, you're such a busy lady with a lot going on, and you're probably in front of 50 people every week with all of your masterminds. what do you do to invest in your professional development? Do you keep up with that? Are there areas that you?
Yeah, I mean, my clients are small business owners, and so I have to always keep up with what's going on with marketing. That could take 40 hours a week right there,
Right. Yeah.
especially all the technology side of it, like search engine optimization and social media marketing and all that. So I created what I call a learning plan for myself. And the
Mhm.
idea is to say at the beginning of the year, or at least the beginning of the quarter, as part of your planning,
Yeah.
what topics are the most important topics to focus on learning new stuff about? Because you can't learn everything. And there's always that shiny object syndrome, like, oh, I could learn that, and I could learn that. And all of a sudden, your head's spinning off, and that doesn't work. And so if you could at least quarterly slow down and say, what are the 2 or 3 topics that I should study? And then maybe
Yeah.
pick one a month
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
write down, well, what are the resources that I know of, or where can I find these resources to learn about this? And so what I tend to do is I tend to do 10 or 20 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Because at the end of a year, that's 40 hours worth of education. But I know what I'm looking to learn instead of just
What's
whatever
your
sort of
favorite?
comes across my social media feed. I'm like, interesting, but not now. Oh, this is important, and just try to keep focused. But having a learning plan, I think, really works.
Listen to podcasts. What is your favorite way to learn?
I like to learn through teachers, and so I tend to get into workshops a lot, mostly online ones, because then I can learn from anybody instead of having to, travel to New York or California or wherever the class is.
Right.
I can just get on for 90 minutes or 2 hours, learn what I need to learn, and I find that really convenient. I I like to watch videos, but only if they're really like full of content. If
Yeah.
they're blathering on about stuff, I'm like, get to the point, I swear this is one lady, I'm not kidding. She was doing a 2 hour webinar. I'm not kidding. She spent the first 25 minutes talking about her journey of how
Oh,
she became a small business owner. I'm like, I'm dying here, people.
you know, I
So
okay.
I'm careful about who I choose as my teachers because I need them to get right into the content. Just give me the information and get out of my way. I'm not
Do you do
great with learning through.
podcasts?
No, I don't. And here's why. Because when I'm walking, I don't want to be listening to anything, especially business. I'm trying to decompress, right?
Right.
I don't drive my car a lot, so I don't have a time to listen
Right.
to podcasts there. And in my evenings and weekends, I want that to be non-business time, so I'm not going to listen to a podcast while I'm cooking dinner. So there's not space in my day really to listen to podcasts. And
Yeah.
so I find for me, I prefer to read, love reading people's blogs, and I
Mhm.
prefer short videos, and I prefer live workshops. Live,
Right.
but like Zoom workshops where I
Right.
can ask questions, and talk to the teacher and really find out what's going on. That seems to be my learning style. Everyone's different.
Everybody's learning style is different. Do you have any favorites that you would recommend?
I like learning from David Newman. I
Mhm.
like learning from Russell Brunson. I like learning from Pamela Slim. So often I will look to see what they're writing about or what they're talking about.
Mhm.
So a lot of the people I follow, they tend to have a blog, and so I'll sort of start there. There's a
Right.
woman named Henneke. She's a expert in copywriting. She has a
Mhm.
wonderful blog called Enchanted Marketing, and I just adore it. So and it's easy to understand. So that's like, I can do that in the morning over a cup of coffee kind of a thing,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. No, we'll have to look those up. Last question here for you today. If you could share one valuable piece of advice for entrepreneurs working from home, is there one thing that you would love to share with them today?
I I know that people say this a lot, and I really think it's important that building a business is a marathon, not a sprint. And
Mhm.
so if you have this expectation that you're going to make $10,000 in 2 months and you're at zero now, or someone promises you're going to add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your revenue stream, just take my class. Just understand that I have been a small business owner since 1994. I
Mhm.
have never seen a business that can take off in 2 months and earn hundreds of thousands of dollars. It just doesn't work that way, and it's not sustainable in the long term.
Right.
Um, if you're in it for the long term and you're like, I am Yeah, I want to make money. That's what business is all about, right? But I want to create a business that reflects who I am, creates a lifestyle that I want, that it really is about continuing to just go forward every day. And sometimes you're going to hit brick walls and it's not going to feel good. And that's where when your character shows is like, are you going to bail or are you going to just keep walking? You know? And so I think that for me, some of the key characteristics that I encourage in people is, first of all, a sense of humor, because you're going to need it. Resilience for when things go bad, that you can bounce back. Stamina, because it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I know it sounds crazy. Hope, because the fact is you can do this. You can create a business that is successful and reflects who you are and that you feel fulfilled as a human being doing. You need to be willing to put in the work. It's not, I this whole idea of, well, I don't want to trade time for money, or I want passive income.
Right.
You're going to have to put some work in to get that passive income. It's not going to just happen. And so I'm afraid that some of the promises that other people give, then people hit reality and they're like, wow, I didn't think it was going to be hard. It's like, it's work. It is a job. And so that's why we call it work, but it is the best lifestyle I know. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Right. Well, and it is like you talked about, I think it's the stamina. You have to be able to persevere and get through.
Yeah.
I'm doing this series. We're talking about all the things that are come up as an entrepreneur working from home. And I'm getting every one of the people I'm interviewing, like yourself, are giving such great advice. And I think that's what's really important in today's world if you're looking to be an entrepreneur. You're right. It's not going to happen in, a month's time where you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. It takes work and planning and setting and all of the things that you have shared with us today. So tell us a little bit about where people can connect with you. Tell us a little bit about your business. We'll be putting all of that in the description below, but just share with us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I actually run two businesses, which is why I'm so busy, right? And so I have Passion for Business, which is my small business consulting business. And that's at passionforbusiness.com. And that's working one-on-one with people and running mastermind groups for small business owners. Okay. And then I kind of have this subset business called the Success Alliance, and that's at thesuccessalliance.com. And it's all about mastermind groups, because I really do believe that mastermind groups are this incredible tool for small business owners to use, both for themselves to be in a group, but also as an offer to give to their clients. I know people who run mastermind groups for any kind of small business owner, restaurant owners and plumbers and that, but they're also running it for parents. They're running it for seniors. They're running it for people who want to be more artistic. They're running it for people who want to compete in their first marathon. The topics they're choosing are just amazing. And so whatever your topic is in your business, think about, do you want to gather a group of people together and run it like a mastermind group? So I do both of those things. I don't typically split my day up saying, well, mornings is Passion for Business and afternoons is the Success Alliance. It's just whatever projects are coming up. But, I've been teaching first in person and now online for years. And that seems to be the thing that I love the most and that I always have stuck with all these years. Even way, way back in the 1990s when I first got started, I was teaching within a year of starting my business, speaking at conferences and all that kind of stuff.
Are these online courses, or are these workshops that you teach live?
Both. Okay. I really love to teach live. I love the interaction with people. I love to marry my courses with mastermind groups. So it's like, let me teach you and then let me help you while you're implementing. But I also have sort of self-study courses for people who are busy and they want to get started now. They want to wait until the date of the next class. But I'll probably do it that way the rest of my life. That's really what I enjoy doing. And I love the conversations that we have in classes.
Right.
And that's where Evernote works really well. When I have an idea, I pop it in Evernote. Next time I'm going to create a class, I go in, I grab everything out of Evernote and create a class. So we're back to Evernote again.
We started with Evernote and we're ending with Evernote.
Yeah, I know. So.
Oh, Karyn, thank you so much. This has just been delightful and just such valuable information here for entrepreneurs. And we have all of your description with your websites and your social, how people can connect with you down in the description below. So thank you so much for being on today.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me.
So many great tips from Karyn Greenstreet today. Wouldn't you agree? You know, I loved hearing Karyn's description of how she uses Evernote so efficiently. It was actually eye-opening for me. And how impressive was her approach to managing that bright, shiny object syndrome that so many entrepreneurs who work from home suffer with. I mean, it's always something that's out there for us. I really found the way she approaches that to be so inspiring. But what really stood out for me today was Karyn's commitment to her learning plan. She dedicates 10 to 20 minutes a day to stay on top of her marketing studies. And, you know, Karyn's plan's pretty specific, 10 to 20 minutes a day. My plan is a little bit different. I try to schedule 1 to 2 hours a week. So I have a question for you today. How much time do you dedicate to learning in your business? I want you to share your learning commitment in the comments below. It is such an important part of growing a business for entrepreneurs. Now, make sure you connect with Karyn in the links below, especially if you're looking for clarity and focus in your business with a marketing strategy. She's brilliant. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights like these, and I'll see you in the next video.